I'm Damien Fowler.
And I'm Eileen Liffring.
And welcome to this edition of The Big Impression.
Today we're checking back in on one of the boldest moves in airline media, Kinective Media by United Airlines, as they've redefined what's possible in the fast-growing world of traveler media networks.
Our guest is James Rothwell, Managing Director of Brand Marketing at Kinective Media. James and his team are helping United leverage the power of 110 million traveler profiles and 40 million Mileage Plus members to create new opportunities for brands across the entire customer journey.
We actually spoke with Kinective on this podcast just last year, and just a week after they launched. A lot has happened since then, from major brand partnerships to rapid innovation in tech, content, and measurement. And today, we're catching up on what's new.
So let's get into it. So, James, this time last year, United had just launched Kinective Media. It was June 2024 at Cannes, and it was the first airline media network. Could you walk us through what's happened since then? How has the network grown? How has it attracted brand campaigns, and how's it working?
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you, Damien, for having me on. This is great to be here. We just celebrated our first birthday, which is a wonderful thing. We're engaging with so many different types of brands who are interested in reaching a premium traveler audience. We've seen some success in most of the key verticals that you would imagine, and then some surprising ones too. And obviously, it's a slam dunk for a travel brand or a destination brand. But those non-endemic brands, the non-endemic advertisers who are trying to reach travelers no matter where they are in their journey or even in between journeys, we're finding really interesting use cases, really interesting targeting options, and ways for them to be able to reach them across all of our screens and beyond.
Let's get into it a little further. Can you give us some examples? And you mentioned non-endemics as well, but maybe we could start with the endemics and then move on to the non-endemics.
No, absolutely. I think, travel as a category is a growth sector right now. I think ever since the pandemic, people have been looking to explore the world and get out of they were cooped up for quite a while there, right?
Exactly.
So travel's never been more popular. So it's, in like any industry, you've got to break through the noise and the options that you have out there, right? Mm-hmm. The world's a big place. Luckily, we fly to a lot of different places. We have over 330 different destinations. One really interesting case study that we've just completed was with the Cayman Islands Tourist Board, and they were looking to drive passengers, travelers to the Cayman Islands, and they worked with us across all of our media, and we were able to do closed loop attribution based on the bookings that were then made to those destinations. So for us, measurement and measurability is incredibly strong in the travel sector and the travel space. We were able to see basically with Cayman Islands that 9,000 bookings came from exposure to the ads that ran across email, across our club lounges, and in our entertainment seatback screens on the planes. So we were able to drive awareness, intent, and then conversion, and we're able to track that. And they saw a 13 times return on ad spend against that campaign. So we were incredibly happy with that. They were incredibly happy with that. We've obviously made some travelers very happy to go enjoy the wonderful blue ocean around the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, there's something nice when you see that on screen. You're like, I'm going to go there.
Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah. That one sells itself. Yeah,
it does.
So you mentioned non-endemic brands too. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we're all travelers, right?
Yeah.
We all got on a plane to be
100%.
here in Cannes. It doesn't define us, but it certainly it helps to give context and potentially sort of insights around who we are as individuals and what we like to spend our money on, where we like to spend our time, and so that translates into a really interesting audience segment for different brands. So we've had a lot of luck, a lot of success with luxury brands who want to reach especially front of plane individuals. B2B brands has been a real boon for us as well. Business decision makers they're looking to find those individuals, and we can find them on planes, in the clubs, and through different digital channels as well. And so that's a really interesting sort of sector that we've been able to really capitalize on, and I think they've been able to see some significant growth on that. And we work with, for example, Jira, which is an Atlassian product, and they did a full omni-channel activation with us, and they saw some fantastic results there.
Very cool. Could you describe that a little bit more? How, I guess, you worked almost like in a custom way, it sounds like, with Jira.
For that one, it was very custom. In fact, they had their own branding moment and wanted to use some of that branding and creativity and plug it into the in-flight entertainment screen. So we created a custom channel for them with curated content behind it, which then obviously gave them a branding moment and an opportunity to drive their messaging with more engagement. So that was a very custom moment, but also an opportunity for us to do very targeted work to find the right audience members throughout the journey.
We spoke with Mike Petrella on this podcast just about a year ago,
yes,
a week after you guys launched.
That's right.
It seems that you're moving fast and obviously moving on to things like custom solutions and everything like that. What else is new in the past 12 months?
Where to start? We've been bringing on a significant amount of partners, not only on the technical side, but also on the content side. So most recently, we did a deal with Spotify. We're very excited about that partnership. Again, from a content perspective and an engagement perspective, that gives us a whole new set of ways and deeper engagement from people while they're on the planes. Mm-hmm. It's also an opportunity for a loyalty aspect of that as well. And we'll talk a little bit about how Mileage Plus comes into our sort of overall offering. But if you sign up for Spotify Premium, there's a Mileage Plus component to that. We're the first airline to offer audiobooks and video podcasts within our planes. There's a lot going on in the loyalty space. We are working with many partners to be effectively integrated into our loyalty program. Mm-hmm. With that will also be a media component as well. So this marriage of loyalty and media together it's been very successful in terms of not only helping to drive awareness of those campaigns and those opportunities for Mileage Plus members to convert, but also to drive media value for those individual brands. So Vivid Seats is another recent partner of ours where we are able to give Mileage Plus members the opportunity to earn miles as they buy tickets to entertainment. But you can imagine a world where for those types of companies, we know where those individuals are going to. Mm-hmm. At those destinations, those companies know how many seats are available at a particular location. Mm-hmm. Can we match that data and make really customized, targeted advertising campaigns to say, okay, see you're going to Vegas, here are some seats available when you get there. So that opportunity of matching data with our partners from a targeted perspective and then a loyalty perspective is really limitless in terms of what the opportunity is there.
Let me just ask you, partnerships like this seem hugely valuable in this space. What else are you seeing?
One of the partnerships we're super excited about is a very recent announcement with JetBlue. We will be working with JetBlue in a number of different ways. Again, loyalty will be a component of that, where where a JetBlue customer can use United Miles to fly on JetBlue and vice versa. There will be a component of that will extend to airport and gate availability down the road. There's a commerce play as part of that where JetBlue will be powering commerce for us for ancillary products like hotels, cruises, cars, etc. And then where it's very exciting for the Kinective Media group is that we will be effectively selling JetBlue audiences under the Kinective Media roof. That will sit alongside our United Media and United audiences. So the combination of that obviously is a scaled audience across different geographies where JetBlue is stronger in the Northeast, where we are not as strong. So very kind of complementary in terms of the audience. And that obviously from an advertiser perspective is great because that's more scale. It's one less phone call to make in a world where there's 280 different media networks. That kind of consolidation, or rather that opportunity to create an airline audience at scale, we think there's massive opportunity there, and we're talking to a number of other airlines about that opportunity.
Yeah, and when you talk about at scale, you've got 63 million mileage plus members.
Yeah.
So that's a serious
and
baseline.
174 passengers over the year. I think JetBlue is around 40. So
174 million, yeah.
Yeah, 174 million. Yeah, and then you add 40 million of JetBlue. You're getting up there in terms of hundreds of millions of audience members that we can now get in front of.
That's a serious proposition.
Yeah, it's a great partnership, really, in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. And almost a surprising one, too, because it's like, you guys are competitors, but are also helping each other out in ways. And
Yeah, it's a very complementary partnership. I
Yeah.
think, they're strong in places where we don't have the same coverage.
Yeah.
And so it works from that perspective at the airline level. I think what's most interesting for me is we think we might be the first commerce media player to bring I wouldn't even call them competitor. I would call them a peer, a peer into the garden, right? And this is not a walled garden. This is an anti-walled garden
Right,
strategy,
an
right?
anti-
Like it's we've built this technology stack, purpose built for the airline. We've built it so others don't have to. And we think by bringing more individuals and more airlines into this world, and it could extend to travel partners more broadly than just airlines, we think all boats will rise. I should probably say planes will fly, but we think there's value in, again, creating scale, creating efficiency for buyers, and ultimately sort of making the whole thing a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah, yeah, we like that idea that, especially when we look at advertisers and media buyers, the idea that everyone benefits from partnerships like this. So it's not like we're locking you out. Everyone, that idea of opening up, it's the value prop for media buyers is huge.
Yeah. It's very new, so we're still figuring out all of the logistics. It will start on the seatback screens and offsite. How we sort of merge those and deduplicate those audiences through technology partners like LiveRamp, is still being figured out. But we're very excited about the proposition, and we'll start selling offsite in later in the year, and then moving on to seatback screens in 2026.
Now, you did mention some metrics here, but we're just going to press you a little further on that. One of the virtues of connected media networks is that ability to tie back purchases to customers. And in some of the campaigns or partnerships you've mentioned, how is that working? What kind of visibility do you have?
So we work with a number of different measurement partners, Kantar, Dynata. We've just started working with Adelaide, which is an attention-based measuring partner. And recent sort of tests on that is looking pretty good. You can imagine we do have people literally strapped in by their seatbelts, and the screen is right in front of them. So the viewability is pretty strong. The attention is very strong too. So we're able to prove, obviously, that as an extension of television, whether you call that a CTV or a digital out-of-home screen, it's a very compelling proposition for a brand, and it's an opportunity for them to tell stories on a pretty dynamic canvas. But yeah, we work with a number of different measurement partners. We continue to expand those partners because we believe that while we can choose ones that we think are good, that's not always going to be everyone's first choice, right? And so we want to be able to create flexibility and brands and agencies to bring their own partners to the table. And so over time, we will integrate more and more of those partners so that, again, measurability and measurement is enabled for all in the ways that they want.
Very cool. We're talking about how Kinective is offering omni-channel measurement. Are there any surprises that came out of that analysis so far?
Yeah, I think some of the insights that I've been most intrigued by have been around what I call the traveler mindset. This idea that individuals may act a little differently when they're in the middle of their journey. And a couple of reasons for that hypothesis. I think if you think about maybe you're a business traveler, your company's paying for your flight, your hotel, your probably a little bit of your food, if not all, while you're gone. I think people think they've got a little extra change in their pocket. Maybe they'll feel a little bit more open to advertising, open to brands being part of that journey, maybe even convinced that they should go out and actually maybe spend some money on that brand. Obviously, there's always the opportunity for those people who forgot their sunglasses and making that a purchase in the airport. But I think it goes beyond that. What was really intriguing, though, for me was we did some analysis around business travelers and noticed that business travelers are actually more likely to respond to advertising than leisure travelers, which for me was a little counterintuitive because I thought business travelers might tune that out, given how frequent they are. They're more likely to be frequent flyers, right? But I think they're maybe a little bit more attuned to the environment they're in, as opposed to maybe a leisure traveler or a traveler who's going with their family and they're having to look after the kids. They're a little distracted, or maybe they're zoning out because they can't wait to get to the beach or back home. But the business traveler is a little bit more tuned in, and so I think that's why we've seen so much success with B2B brands, because of that insight and that response.
Yeah, and to me, it does sound like there's B2B brands are having kind of like a moment. And I think this is across all categories, but it sounds like you're seeing that too, that B2B brands are even driven to the plane, the air.
Yeah, I think in general, B2B marketing, as digital has matured, B2B marketing looks a lot like B2C marketing. There's not a huge amount of difference. And brands, there are business brands that really invest a significant amount of money in that brand. And you don't have to look too far from across the sports world to see, how many brands are investing in high-profile sporting events and wanting to reach influencers and business decision makers. I think we have a great audience for that. So I think we are another choice for brands to be able to engage with them.
Quick question here. On that note, do you have any brand partnerships with sports teams?
At the United level, we do. We work with a number of different teams across the nation, obviously usually associated, more aligned with our hubs where we have a lot more exposure. And so, lots of different professional sports teams. And then obviously when it comes to things like NCAA tournaments, we do a lot of fun marketing around that. If your team unexpectedly goes all the way, you're going to have to hop on a plane. Well, we can figure that. We can help you out with that. Or you can cancel your flight and don't worry about it. We'll take care of you if your team crashes out.
Moving on here, to zoom out a little bit and look at the landscape, the big picture, as it were, from, should we say, 30,000 feet?
Let's do it.
Terrible.
I love it.
I'll do it. You wouldn't believe how many plane analogies you hit.
I'm sure you
can. Every day.
We may ask you for your favourite plane analogy at the end or something. But you've likened Kinective's personalization to Netflix's style recommendation engine, but with richer signals. As more brands enter the travel and media space, and we don't necessarily have to name them, what do you see as United's distinct advantage?
I'm going to highlight another partnership here because I think it will illuminate the audience on where this is going. So we announced our partnership with Starlink recently, and we are scaling Starlink out across the fleet. That will take some time because we have to take those planes out of rotation, install the hardware. But we did a recent test and got hardcore gamers and hardcore streamers, and we were doing shopping and testing it, and they were literally trying to break it, and they couldn't break it, and it was absolutely flawless, super fast. That is a game changer because now you can do everything on the ground at 30,000 feet. And there's been a lot of questions about, does that mean we're going to have to take Zoom calls on the planes? And the good news is no. No one doesn't. You can. I think you can listen, but I don't think you can talk. So that's kind of the rule there. But yeah, we had people FaceTiming with their mums on that flight. But the reason I bring that up is because that is going to effectively create a whole world of hyper-personalization that just wasn't possible before. The technology that, again, exists at 0 feet will be at 30,000 feet. And so you think about what that means from an advertising perspective. Every screen becomes addressable. We can do programmatic delivery against those screens. And we can create shoppable moments, brand integrations. It unlocks a huge amount of content opportunities as well, because now you can stream live sports, you can stream anything you want on the ground in the air. So that's where I think we already have an advantage in that we have an amazing audience, an omni-channel offering, and hours of attention. We're going to supercharge that attention with incredible content and amazing brand integration opportunities and advertising opportunities.
We have these rapid fire hot seat questions. You're not strapped in or anything. Sorry, terrible. Another airline analogy. This is one we like to ask, what is it that you're obsessed with figuring out right now about the marketplace you're in?
I'm obsessed with, I think, just continuing to find out more about the audience that we get to engage with every day. I have the pleasure of not only being head of marketing for Kinective Media, but also Mileage Plus. And so I'm curious every day about how I can understand more about our loyal customers, how we can enrich their experiences with us and enrich their lives more broadly, because again, it doesn't stop with the journey. For Mileage, how do we engage with them in authentic and compelling ways in a very noisy media marketplace, but also trying and get them to continue to think about Mileage Plus and the airline on a more regular basis, not just when they have to travel.
Yeah, what would you say is missing from the market and needs to be solved?
What's missing from the market? I don't think it's missing. It just needs to continue to evolve, and that's measurement. I think no one's cracked the code. It feels like every time we get close, the goalposts move a little bit. And as more and more first-party data-driven networks crop up, it becomes more and more relevant for us to solve the attribution game. And I think even when I understood retail media networks to be the answer to all of that because of closed loop attribution, my understanding is that is still not figured out. That's still not solved. And if retailers who operate at that lower end of the funnel and point of sale haven't figured it out, then that's challenging for the industry because we've got a long way to go still.
You mentioned you had a favorite. Do you have any favorite airline? Do you have any favorite airline analogies or even jokes?
I try to avoid the jokes because that's a tricky one. No, I think a lot of what I talked about today, we're excited to announce it. We're still building, so I would say we're still building the plane while we're flying it.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, we use that one all the time.
Yeah.
But that is one of the.
In the
It works
business
very well.
ad world,
Yes.
I would say.
Yeah.
And that's it for this edition of The Big Impression.
This show is produced by Molten Heart. Our theme is by Love and Caliber, and our associate producer is Sydney Cairns.
And remember,
We did some analysis around business travelers and noticed that business travelers are actually more likely to respond to advertising than leisure travelers.
I'm Damien,
And I'm Elise.
and we'll see you next time.